drifted alarmingly in the betting was, Felsted in the morning continued to drift. It was late on the exchanges to lose. It was something you'd see in a Dick Francis novel, Charles Buttons.
The ground is soft. It's
heavy.
It's soft on times.
It's heavy.
Okay.
And a very warm welcome to the Bar Stewards Enquiry Sunday Sermon, where this is our 200th podcast. Not out. The bat is raised. And tonight, for joining me on this epic show, lots to get through, is my cohort and partner in crime, Jonas Lang. Good evening, John.
I can't believe we're 200 not out, especially after every fucker we upset last week.
We've managed, I would say, we've done a terrific job over the last 12 months in the fact that we've sort of managed debate and discussion and upset all the racing media. It's not a bad effort, really.
Universally loved now.
Yeah, and the Clarks, and who else have we upset? There's plenty. Kublers, we've upset them.
Denise
Coates, yeah. Denise not personally here to answer. But yeah, we've upset plenty, I think. We've done a good job over, and it's all for you guys and for racing. So, as long as you want us to keep recording and doing it, we'll do it because we don't get anything out of it. There's no pennies, there's no shekels coming from Paddy Power, Matt Chapman. It's all for the goodwill. Power to the people, as we say. So, joining us this show, disgracefully absent, is Chris Lorne Malvo that messaged this afternoon saying big family barbecue. Sorry, can't do it. He's pissed up. Not doing the 200th show, a disgrace, and he is in disgrace. But not for finding the right replacement here. We've got a good one. It's Councillor Woodman, who some of you will know with his article from the political betting with Penny Mordaunt and from past shows on the Gambling Review. Welcome, Andrew.
Evening, Lee. Evening.
Yes.
Being loathed and not liked, I feel in perfect company being a Conservative councillor. But there we are.
Conservative councillors, I mean, they often get spat at, don't they? It's a requirement of the job to be spat at and heckled.
Although my disclaimer is that I'm here in a personal capacity, just for getting sued reasons and whatnot.
At least being off camera, Woody, you can do an Andrea Jenkins if you feel like it.
Well, yes. I'm looking at tractors as we speak.
Brilliant. Okay, then let's get on with it. Mouthful of gin. 200th episode. Gin fuel. That's what we like. So we'll start off with the review of the July meeting, which took place from Thursday to Saturday last week. And I'm sure some of you will have done well. Some of us will do, especially me, will have done badly as usual. Do I ever do any good? I don't think so these days. Anyway, so on the Thursday...
You have that trust fund to fall back on, isn't
it? It's been a tough year. I think it's golf club anyway that's doing this. He's been backing me for a while, and I think it's the weight. It's the £7 penalties because of him. But anyway, the first day was that Deauville Legend won the Bahrain Trophy. I felt that it was a front end sort of bias stage on the Thursday where like everything sort of did very well on the front end, and Walker Stars showed his quality, but the other side of him as well when he finished third in that, where he's just a difficult ride, isn't he?
Yeah, he needs gelding again, really.
Yeah.
Sew him back on and then chop him off again, I think.
Yeah, let him think he's got him again, and then yeah. Right, so yeah, that's Walker Stars. If you back Walker Stars like I did, because it was a bit of value, I felt he just completely tossed it off. But that's him. Persian Force very impressive without Little Big Bear running in the July Stakes, moving quickly on. Princess of Wales, the dirty Arabian Nights deciding to pacemake, which we've not seen much of this season. And Charlie Appleby decided to use James Doyle on Global Storm as the actual pacemaker. John, did you watch that?
I did, and I think UB has been needing that. He's been needing a bit of pace to run it, so I thought that was a smart move. Don't know what the form stacks up to, like, because when you've got that thing of the kilt running second.
Yeah.
Well,
Well,
he's one we need to worry about in the King George, is he?
What I couldn't believe, and this is where I'm in the binner lately. I mean, obviously people know this is what I do full time, and I couldn't have your beer this day because if anyone watched Belmont, where it ran in the Man of War, it literally walked out of the cupboards, gave them 6 for nothing. Look pure temperament, nothing else. He just didn't want to go into stride, and you thought, well. And then you've got like racing blogger bouncing up and down on the morning of the race. It's a big bet, you be a big, I mean, it's like how do you want to put lots of cash down at 11 away when the horse just walks out?
It's not your own fucking cash, don't you? That's how you know that.
I mean, this is when I'm lost. That logic isn't applying. It just seems, well, it doesn't matter that it walked out of the stalls at Belmont. It's obviously back to its very best. And, well, I mean, the horse has ran its race, no doubt, but they're reading it better than me. But how are you back a horse at 11:08 that's just decided? And, by the way, refused to pass that one of the kilts at the spring meeting, if you remember. Do you remember when it ran?
But,
living legend.
At risk of labouring the point, if he was playing with his own cash, he'd hardly ever leave his fucking bed sit, never mind backing up in your bed.
Yeah, I didn't get it, to be honest. And again, another costly race for me. And then what we saw off ITV, the Henry Cecil Stakes, the listed affair, which looked probably better than a listed contest, John, on what we looked at the principles. 113 Mighty Ulysses, 109 Alf Layla, 111 Berkshire Shadow, and Luigi riding a good race, I felt, because he basically let Berkshire Shadow quicken up, and Luigi didn't panic, and then he just decided to let him go, and I thought it rode quite well.
I was a bit disappointed after the race, actually, because I was expecting either Towser or Slim to pop up and say how brilliant their man management skills had proven to be with the enforced sabbatical for Frankie, and how he'd come back better than ever, entirely thanks to their sabbatical regime that they had implemented, even though Slim had been spending most of the time watching Tipping Point.
The thing is, listen to Gosden literally throw Frankie under a bus again. He's a man that will never admit that he's wrong. We agree on that, don't we?
Absolutely.
Never. I mean, the thing is, I get his concerns for Frankie and stuff like that, but most of this is usually done behind closed doors. You don't get to see this sort of thing with trainers and jockeys because, well, unless you're Brian Ellison and you're just dragging one off in parade ring at York after a bad ride. But we were there that day. I mean that's the thing. Usually you don't get to see that in the public domain. So it's been a very sordid affair, and one that I felt the journalists have spent too much time on. So we'll move on. We'll go to the Friday's card, and this was sort of, again, a bit of a front end day. We had New London being well back, winning the handicap. The first point of controversy, which brings us on to our first topic as well, about stewarding, and we're going to bring in the Derby Dazzler here. This is the Duchess of Cambridge Stakes. Which, John, am I right? Is this formerly the Cherry Hinton?
Yes.
Yeah, another name change for the Royals. Terrible, really, isn't it? It's the Cherry Hinton. Derby Dazzler's been on, and he said, "What did you make of the Morge Lazoo inquiry?" He says, "I wouldn't want Ray Dawson defending me in court, that's for sure." And in his view, I get the feeling, he didn't say his view, but I get the feeling he doesn't think that was the right decision. What did you make of that?
I'd have chucked it out, I think. Because, I mean, he's took the other one off the racing line that the jockey had selected for her.
Yeah.
And if she'd kept to that racing line, she'd have won, for me. He wasn't the quickest in taking corrective action, either.
No, I was punting Lazoo to get the race. I'd got a winning position on Morge, and I threw it all in the bin to take a winning position on Lazoo because I couldn't believe the betting. They were betting something like 3s on and 3s. And then apparently on Channel, I always say Channel 4 Racing, on ITV Racing, they asked Frankie what he thought and he actually said the best horse won. So I mean, what an idiot! I mean, it's all theatre anyway, and it's like
it as well.
I mean, that's a balmy thing to say. So then it went sort of 8s on and 6s after Frankie had said that, because they were showing it live. I wasn't watching it live, but apparently that's what happened. And then Ray Dawson gave his defence, which was remarkable. It was more or less like, yes, well, as you can see, it was trying to hang away from the crowd. I mean, what a load of bullshit. It was trying to hang away from the crowd, and I suppose I could have been a little bit quicker in, correcting my horse up and basically just saying, well, the point for me is this, and Ruby Walsh made a fantastic point on Racing TV where he said, yes, did the best horse win? Probably. I probably agree that the winner Morge would have won anyway, barring the interference. That's my view. Right? I'm not saying that's everyone's view. However, when you consider Ray Dawson has made no attempt to correct his mount at any point, right? He's got the whip in the same hand. He's carried on giving it some shillelagh, and he's done absolutely nothing to straighten his horse. Like Ruby Walsh says, how much lengths does Morge lose if Ray Dawson has to sort of stop whipping, go hands and heels, and switch his whip hand?
Yeah.
How much momentum does that actually lose? That's never taken into account, though, in inquiry. It's just the actual interference.
Yeah.
And the message we're sending here, for me, is wrong. It's saying you can do that, and as long as the margin is still sort of big enough, it's very difficult to throw you out. Now, there's two ways you could sort this. You could go one way where you could say, right, for punting purposes, we're not going to punish the people that's probably, deserve to win the race anyway. But what we're going to do is we're going to disqualify, for prize money purposes, the connections of the winner and the jockey's pennants. So you could bring that into it. Now, there's some people that say, yeah, but we know jockeys like a bet. and sometimes the bets are going to be worth more than the actual prize money, especially in low class racing, which I kind of agree. It's like, take the fine, take the ban, no one's bothered, you've had $5,000 on it. So I get that side as well, but I do think the stewards need some more lines of punishment, where if they feel a jockey has deliberately tried to win a race by using such tactics as Ray Dawson, who's got previous as well for this, then it's just a case of, we're going to take your percentage and your riding fee away from you, and maybe fine them as well on top, just to make So it's not just you losing your percentage, your riding fee, but maybe like a £2,000 fine as well on top, to sort of say, right, well, you're not going to do that again, are you, in a rush? It's that kind of thing we need, I think, to straighten it up, because it's ugly. It's ugly to watch. You don't get it in other jurisdictions. Australia, you don't get it. USA, you certainly don't get it. France, you probably don't get it. Ireland don't get nearly as much as this. And I just think our rules are needing bringing back into line. So great point, Derby Dazzler. Okay, we moved on to the Falmouth, won by Prosperous Voyage. Bit of a farce, John. Farce of a race.
I was kicking myself up the arse after this, because I'm always looking for likely bounce candidates. There wasn't a bigger bounce candidate than Inspiral, was there, really?
Well, I know. The thing is, I mean, it's terrible after timing, then. If we start saying, nah, Inspiral...
Well, I didn't do anything about this. This is the point. I mean, I'm only after timing him to the extent of saying what a fucking stupid bastard I am.
Yeah.
For not acting on it.
Yeah.
But it honestly, for somebody who often looks for a bouncer, this didn't enter my head until they picked the stick up 3 out, and I thought, yeah, fucking plonker.
Yeah, I mean, it was painful for me because I had the forecast the wrong way around. So it was a bad thing. I get your point, and I've watched. To be honest, I've watched a few from Ascot. There was that filly today of that Star of something with Noel Meads at Fairyhouse in the Group 3. That's bounced from the Jersey. There's a lot seem to be bouncing from Ascot, not quite running up to scratch. So maybe it's just like if you are running back this quick from Ascot, maybe some of them are feeling it, John.
Yeah, Yeah, it's possible. Because there was some spectacularly good performances, and quite a lot haven't entirely backed them up, have they? You know, I mean, I know the Haggis horse in the mile 6 handicap, whose name escapes me at the minute, Candleford, is it, or something like that?
Yeah, Candleford, yeah.
Yeah, that one, I know it was up £13, but that was a little bit underwhelming. I did expect a bit more foot from that one at the business end.
Was dropped out last though.
Yeah.
Do you think you were that bothered? Because do you reckon like it's one of them? 104 will get you in the Evo, won't it? So
yeah, but it's fit anyway. So why run it?
I don't know. It's a good point. Don't know. Pass on that one. The shirt. Don't know.
You wouldn't want to float up at this stage of the season, would you? Right, when you've got your mark and you're rocking, you just tick him over to the Evo, wouldn't you?
But yeah, totally agree. It's a strange one. We'll talk about a strange place in yesterday that I know you and I agree on this. But anyway, we'll get to that in a minute. But John Hines has been on and he says Leopardstown Friday night, 8:30 race. I've watched it, John, and I can honestly say it's one of the. They've all bet it. They must have done. They've just let one go 10 clear, and they've just sat off it. It won them like 15, 20 length jobs. But this is what I said to John privately. I said, yeah, but it's amateur riders. You know, it's like they'll go into the stewards and say, "Go easy, boss. We're learning our trade." But I mean, you see this a lot in Ireland in these amateur events. You know, it's not the first one. It won't be the last. Anything that sort of pokes an easy lead that gets well bet. But yeah, it looked a bit iffy.
It was on the well back, isn't it?
Yeah, well, that's it. Yeah, thing is, I don't think I were playing at that point, so I didn't even watch it live. Yeah. But it's a shame because I think I'd have been weighing in as well. Okay, we'll move on to Saturday's action. Terrific action it was, really. Some of it. I very much enjoyed watching it. And we'll go to Newmarket first. The Superlative was fought out by Isaac Shelby and Victory Dance. And as predicted on our tipping show on Friday, we were very keen on the 2 and against the kilt. And John was pleasingly liking the fact that the kilts dropped away and was tailed off. Ran 2 green was the official excuse from the yard.
He had the tail runs, hadn't he? You know, I mean,
yeah.
If you've been able to get a proper preparation at the house and get 5 or 6 into him before yesterday.
Yeah, what do you make of the front 2 then? Do you like them?
I think the runner-up is probably going to show better form next year over a mile and a quarter, possibly even a mile and a half.
Yeah.
I think he was keeping on quite nicely, and the other one just had that little bit more zip at the end. Brian Main though, isn't it? So it won't train on.
Yeah, you said on Friday, yeah. So then we went to Bunbury Cup and
booking the trends.
Well, booking the trends. We've bleated on bar stewards for Yonks about David Simcock and the Spencer duo, and they win with the 8-year-old. The 8-year-olds aren't supposed to win Bunbury Cups either. Slowly into stride, held up in rear, and coming through nicely to win rather comfortably. Thoughts, John?
When it's snug, it's just a dangerous horse when things drop right, isn't it?
Mm.
You know, it's a dangerous outfit, isn't it? As we keep saying, if the rode them well properly, it's the best yard in the country.
Yeah, if you're a listener, Mr. Simcock, yes, you would take over from the shirt.
Right infantry out today, didn't they?
Yeah,
the catching tenebrae.
The July Cup was won by John's Selection, alcohol free, doing it again very nicely in the end. No fluke about it. Just absolutely winning very well under the train driver.
Yes, I think it just proved the theory right. Actually, that she ran a lot of the last race in the soup because she showed plenty in that race. Really, she wasn't blindsiding anybody. I don't think. I don't think she was a particularly inspired spot. I don't think that. I think a lot of the sprinters are like much of a muchness, though. I think probably just carry on and keep beating each other.
What do you think to the separate sort of subject? Apprentices brought through by Kingsclear over the years, and the reason I want to pick your brains is because recently, obviously, we've had Jason Watson, Oisin Murphy, Will Buick, David Probert, and I think Rob Hornby obviously is riding now. I don't know if Rob Hornby was brought through by Kingsclear, but they've certainly got a history. Ian, Andrew, of is it Emma Baldwin as well? I'm not sure. That sort of brings these jockeys through. Now, can you remember any from sort of yesteryear coming through from that camp?
God, you've sprung one on me there. Not off the top of my head, really, but they've always had this knack of getting useful claimers, and I think they've always appreciated the value of getting £7 off a lot of the time. Even in maidens and things, because if you've got one that you're pretty certain can run to 80, you stick a kid up that you think's capable, you're going to be very hard to beat in a maiden at most tracks. And I think they're a really, really good outfit for that. I think they're certainly better than the British Racing School.
Yeah, but I mean, you look at British Racing. I mean, British Racing School, Christ. I mean, they've had, is it Richard Perham? Is it Dave Cross? They've had some absolute horrors. I mean, it's like learning. I don't know. I can't put it into words that why don't we employ some of the best retired jockeys to do this job instead of like jockeys that won't ride you 20 winners a year? It's just mental.
It's like having an academy for builders and sticking Fred West in, isn't it?
Exactly. Back to the review. The July Cup, obviously disappointing. Perfect Power. What a terrible ride from the Frog on that one.
Yeah, he wouldn't be the most experienced on the July course, would he?
What on earth was that? It popped out quite nice, and you're thinking, well, right, sit handy then. Yeah. No, none of that. None of that. Dropped it out absolutely stone cold Steve Austin. And I didn't understand. I didn't understand any of it. It just made no sense. I bet they were incensed after that. The owners and the scout.
There's nothing worse for a punter to see a horse in a sprint hit the hissing SIDS and then the jockey takes back.
Yeah. Just sit. If you'd have sat sort of handy, but he just let it go right back. No movement. No nothing.
It's not justification for drifting back under any circumstances, really.
Well, what price would you have gone? Artorius, the Australian horse that I made the point the other day about being slowly away and not suited to the July course, ran well in third. It was about 3 lengths behind that.
How much would you have done on match betting there?
Oh, well, that's it. I mean, it's just this is why the game's so hard. Because how on earth do you legislate for that? If someone said to me, "Is Perfect Power likely to sit behind Artorius?" I'd say not really. No, not much chance of that. And then that's exactly what he does. So Perfect Power backers, you had absolutely. And then the thing is, though, connections are thicker as well. Because what they'll do now is, he's not really a 6 furlong horse. So now they'll go, again, they'll go 7 furlongs, maybe a mile again. He'll be all right at 7. I don't dispute that. But there's no way he can win top class 6 furlong races. I'm also adamant of that. So it was just a disappointing ride for all concerned.
You'd expect him to win the Vernons, wouldn't you?
I would, yes. Nice headwind at Haydock. Like you often get headwinds at Haydock. Like sort of good to soft ground.
Wouldn't really matter what he does there, would it?
No, he'd win that because everything had just dropped right. And that's it. I mean, Sumion can do what he wants then. So yeah, the scaffolder be seething. Good. Not a friend of the show. So then we come to York. Talk about a race course getting it right. You saw Saturday's scenes. Chester's empty. They're charging £40, £50, £60 to get in their enclosures. The concourse was empty an hour before the first, and yeah, York, it was like, geez, the middle was rammed, the far side of the course was rammed, and again, talk about a track that knows what it's doing and gets it absolutely right. Even when they started getting it wrong at the start of the season, when they went cashless, and then but they listened to the clientele. The clientele spoke, and they reversed the decision. And this is a track that often gets it right, hence the big crowd. It never suffers from small crowds. And again, other tracks and racecourse executives need to take a leaf out of York's book. That infield on Saturday must have had, I don't know, I'm going to put a guess at 20,000 people just in the middle. There must have been. It was absolutely rammed from side to side. And you know, at 12 quid a head, I mean, what better value in racing than that, John? 12 quid a head. That's, so, you know, if there's 20,000 in the middle, that's 240,000, you know, in gate receipt, plus whatever they spend, and the bookies will be loving it. Bloody, everyone's happy. That's how to do it. Racetracks should make more use of the space they have, creating nice environments for families, for people. I mean, how much does it cost to get a load of picnic benches in? Like York have also done for the Silver enclosure, where they've put lots and lots of picnic benches in the Silver ring, so families can go along and you get to sit down. How many race courses can you say that where you can't get a seat? You're walking around, say you've took the kids out for it, you can't get a seat. That's no good. You're not going to come back. So these tracks don't even think forwards. They just look at what they can charge and they think, right, yeah, it's 40 notes to get in. It's 7 quid a pint. You can't sit anywhere, but we don't care. You're in now. We're not bothered.
I think, to be fair to Chester, it's a little bit like comparing apples to bowling balls, though, because they are really stuck for space. Yeah,
I get that. But I mean, they use the infield well at Chester. There's lots of champagne. There's champagne lawns. There's nice things to do in the middle at Chester.
Yeah.
It's just the fact that a lot of tracks have this thing where they still live in sort of pre-pandemic, where it's, I don't know, it's 30 quid to get in, and then by the time you've had a bet, it's 50. You've had something to eat and a drink, and it's 50 quid.
Well, don't get me wrong. I think they're going to have to look at the price structure at a lot of these tracks.
I think so. If they want to carry on racing and they're not sucking off the tit of the media rights deal, which a lot of them are, and a lot of them are just getting fat off it because they know they don't have to attract custom because they're making enough to survive off the telly deal. Now, when that ends and it's renewed, and let's say it's less, which I bet it is going to be less. I'll have a big bet it's going to be less. What are they going to do then? What's the forward thinking then? They've pissed off all the local customers because local customers say, "Well, fuck this. I'm not going here spending this, and you're just ripping me off." So it's the wrong message they're sending, I think.
See, for me, Chester didn't even need to race yesterday. They could have raced today. If you'd stopped somebody in a betting shop anywhere in the country yesterday and asked them to name 3 runners from Chester, I bet I couldn't. Yeah,
you're right. You're dead right. I had a scan of the cards, but not a thorough look because it was just impossible. You know, you've got major racing to go through. So, like you say, you pulled out,
and that's the last place you were going to look for a bet, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, 100%.
Whereas if it'd been on today, until Gasol jumps tracks racing, people would have been all over it.
Yeah,
racing still doesn't know what it's doing with Sundays, though, does it?
No.
Do you know like what makes me mad? The Sky Bet Sunday series, they've got decent prize money.
Yeah.
But we're not. It's only done for bookmakers. It's not done for families because they start it at 3:30 or 4 o'clock, and it ends at 7 o'clock or 6 until bookies shut. Now, I'm sorry, but families that want to go racing on a Sunday, you know, kids are probably in bed an hour after that, and if you've got to travel and everything else, and they wound up on Coca-Cola or whatever, it's no good. If you're doing Sunday racing properly, you probably do a France, and you start at sort of, you know, I don't know, 1 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and you finish at 3 o'clock, so they can get back home, kids are bath, bed, and they've still had a good day out racing. So bookmakers, again, it's a good initiative from Sky Bet, and I bet a lot of trainers are loving it. Grant Shaw will be one of them. People like that love the extra prize money. Lots of trainers will be thinking, no, what you're talking about is a good initiative. But if we're attracting racegoers, it's not a good initiative because it's not saying. I mean, Woody, you've got young kids. If you were second race on a Sunday, it wouldn't be ideal, would it? Like if you leave racetrack at say 6:45.
No, I mean I've tried it a couple of times. Went to Nottingham, which didn't have enough picnic benches or anything like that. That wasn't a great experience. And I went to Leicester and didn't have an ice cream van. But yeah, I mean, yeah, you can't go on till 6-7 o'clock once a pump full of Haribos and what have you. You won't be asleep till 10.
Yeah.
So yeah, you've got to be finishing at 4-5 o'clock.
Because Sundays really what I've seen from going racing on Sundays. More families tend to go racing Sunday. It tends to be Saturdays. It's all about the lads, and let's get on it. Snort yourself silly and whatever. Yeah. And then and then Sundays it's about the general feeling then changes because no one's getting bladdered too bladdered because they've got to get up for work Monday morning. So
that's a good thing about York, though, isn't it? Having the family enclosure and then where you can keep away from the guys who are coked up looking for a fight.
Yeah, perfect answer. That's it. Tracks need to look at utilising the space they've got better. And there's plenty of space. Most tracks have got plenty of space. I know we use a bad example, like John said, in Chester. But there's tracks with plenty of space and should promote these enclosures. Not family fun day with a bit of face painting and a bouncy castle, but a proper family day experience art that's nice. That's like
Beverley do it, don't they? Beverley use the infield well.
Yeah, Beverley do the same. Use the infield, use the middle. I went in the middle at Beverley as a kid, and it's good. Yeah, it's good. I can't fault certain tracks how they do it, but there's a lot of tracks for me that are just really underperforming. Is that the staff, John? Is that people that they employ?
What in the catering side? Do you mean?
No, like so basically, if you're a chief executive of a race course, you've got your staff under you. Yeah. I mean, do you think don't you think it's important that they understand the local community?
Absolutely, yeah.
You could have as much qualifications, couldn't you, as you want, but
you see, a lot of the catering things are subbed out, aren't they?
Yeah.
Like the infield at Redcar, there's a lot of little units that people rent. Oh yeah, really? Whether there's any takers or not, what standard of grub and drinks and cups of tea or whatever you've got on sale in the infield? Oh yeah, depends on the take up of people renting the unit.
Yeah.
I mean, overwhelmingly, it's the independent tracks which we call out as the better ones. I mean, York's an independent track, isn't it? Beverley. Yeah. I mean, Arc and Jockey Club Racecourses are the ones which they've probably got a corporate structure and no one local dare makes a decision for fear of getting a bollocking from the MD or something like that.
Yeah, I mean, Newmarket's not what you class as family friendly, is it? Really? I mean, no. Yeah, it's. I mean, I love the play. Well, the Roddy Mile anyway, and they could do a lot more to get some family action going. But it's a little bit run like a closed shop. That I think it's a bit like these old gentlemen's clubs in town. You get in there and you think, should I be in there? And,
which gentlemen's clubs have you been in, John?
Even the ones that aren't terribly exclusive, Woody, I think should I be in here?
Me and the producer went in one once in Brighton. Yeah, tremendous.
Lots of cash needed.
You can't beat a nice sit on a Chesterfield and a glass of port, can you? Really?
Well, that's it. It's just...
And a choice cigar, we've got.
A fella asleep with the Telegraph over his face.
Right, on to the John Smith's Cup. It's a nice, diverse subject. Gentlemen's clubs to John Smith's Cup. The Magnet Cup. Won by the late gambled Anmart. Owen Burrows can train, John.
Yes. As Debs Lowe pointed out.
Yes.
She was quite flabbergasted, wasn't she?
Yeah.
Then he had another one later on. He nearly went into flange spasm after that. It was quite an impressive winner, really.
Yeah, absolutely.
He could go forward, but then again, first time out, maybe back it to bounce next time. I like in spiral.
Yeah.
Because he'll rush it out, won't he? And fuck it up somehow.
Probably. Yeah, I mean, yours squeaked it in 6 just fine. The jelly beans squeaked it into your extra places bet. Yeah,
it was a bit jammy, really. He just wasn't quick enough to take gaps when they did present themselves, and then he found himself shuffled back a bit. I think with a completely clear run, he might have finished fourth, but that would have been it, I think. Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on to the 440, which this is the race where I think some people want our opinion on this for a change. The City Wall Stakes, Royal Acclaim, the filly that got probably more recognition for winning the City Walls than the July Cup winner.
Yes. Well, up until about 4 minutes before the race, I don't think the people of Twitter were aware that we have one of the top paddock men in the country on the spot reporting back to us, Adam Norman.
Yes.
He actually broke his confidentiality clause and went public with his opinion before the race. What an absolute beaut Royal Acclaim was. And he's backed that up today with an astonishing tweet, really, where, I mean, I know Ken Pitterson's got his critics, but I've never, ever, ever heard him say he wanted to fuck one. It was so good looking. Which just shows not only do we have the best paddock judge in the country, we also have probably the dirtiest.
Adam Norman, the dirtiest paddock man in the land.
Dirty bastard Norman.
He said she brought a lump to the trousers. He said that was his exact tweet.
Unbelievable.
And ITV Pitterson's never said anything like that.
To be honest, I just feel deeply ashamed. But there you go.
Right, on to Royal Acclaim's performance then.
Right, yeah.
This is interesting. I want to hear what you're thinking.
At the end of the day, she's beat a jaded handicapper who was lacking a prep. Because if Anthony got a freshener into him last week, he'd have probably run a bit better.
Yeah, should have run him.
I think really you'd be hard pressed to give her more than 106 from the bare result. Which, I mean, because otherwise, what are you giving Monday, mate? He's not only had his balls out for everybody to have a look at, he's waggled it around for 6 months, hasn't he?
You know what it looks like.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean, you'd have to upgrade some very, very exposed sprinters, give her anything like the sort of racing where you'd say, well, that's the Nunthorpe over.
It'll come as no surprise to you that the Racing Post have gone to town. They've given Mondamedge a Racing Post rating of 110.
Brilliant.
Mackinac has run above himself, 107. Right, the interesting one, right, and this is how I handicap the race, and this should be a lesson to anyone that's following the racing game and betting and doing it properly, right? How can Corker have run, according to the Racing Post, £2 above its mark? Trip notes, reluctant to load, slowly away, which it was, completely missed the kick, towards rear, against the dead rail, the stand side rail, nothing's winning up there. Nothing's won up there since 1988. And pushed along 2 furlongs out, ridden and headway, ran on final furlong, went third final strides. So according to the Racing Post, that performance from Corker is, it's probably a career best. How can it be a career best when it's missed the kick? I mean, so straight away, that's not ran to its mark. That's not ran to 104. It can't have. It's impossible, right? It's also giving the filly £5. So if you say Corker's run £5 below its best, John, or let's be generous, let's say we'll say £3 below its best. We'll be, So you put Corker in at 101, press calculate using the magic calculator button, and Royal Acclaim comes out 105, Mondamage 103, which is about right, Mackinac 100, bang on, Just Another Bottle 95, Winter Power, which we stated on Friday is probably dead, 88. It kind of works out.
Yeah.
So who's right? I mean, yes. Don't get me wrong. It's 105 with a massive plus. You know, it's a huge plus. I mean, I can't stress that. You know, I love all the plaudits and how it looked and how it's done it. But the fact remains, with the weight concession, because obviously it's a filly against not getting the penalty, so to speak, like with Corker. It can't have run to more than to 105, 106, John. You're spot on rating. You are. It's just people won't listen to that. No. They're already backing it to win a Nunthorpe. It's done, dusted. That's it. It will win the Nunthorpe, and that's that.
Love it.
Yeah, but that's it. So I'm like you. I take it on numbers and facts, and I'm afraid it's very difficult to give it more numerically than what we've just said. However, there is a caveat, and we do think it's a lot better than that. So to finish Saturday's review off, one from John Mack, he's pointed this out, and I think it's a very, very good point, John. He goes, Ascot this week, they're putting a false rail. I didn't see any hard luck stories from the races I watched. Is this the future?
I think you made an excellent point.
Yeah, I do.
Because Ascot's not suitable for a big fail on a round course. Not suitable at all. The straight is too short. The cutaway like that or something slinging them into the middle of the track is fantastic, really.
It'd make the Royal Meeting better, wouldn't it?
Totally. I think there should be a massive campaign to get that actioned.
Well, I mean, Nick Davis, who obviously a good contributor to the show, he's always said he looks out when Chester have the cutaway. Yeah. Because Chester rides totally different when there's the cutaway. Because obviously when they come off, if the front runner goes to the rail, then there's more room down the centre, and if the front runner doesn't, then there's room for something to nip up the inside.
It's not even the same spot, is it?
No, it's totally. You watch Chester when there's no cutaway, and it's just like front runner, and then the cutaway comes. It just makes it that more competitive. So yeah, John Mack, brilliant point. That's something that right to Ascot. Not that it'll do any good. They'll probably just say that's a one-off, and you know. And that's it. And then you're back to bad looking running, etc., etc. Did you watch the pre-John Pratt today, John?
I did.
Yeah, Tenebrism showing a lovely turn of foot.
I was impressed with Tenebrism. I think she's back to her Cheveley Park form.
You've liked her, haven't you?
I was impressed with her last time, actually. I didn't think she saw it out behind in Spiral, but I thought she ran a nice race. I was a bit pissed off with myself I didn't back her today, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I had half an eye on light infantry, how he was going to get on. So I ended up having no bet. Because I think, I backed light infantry in the SJP only for our friend to take him out. I was interested to see beat low sale.
Yes.
These things happen. Them's the breaks, as someone said this week.
It is. And the thing is, for me, it yet again shows that the male 3-year-old colts guineas form, it's not holding up, is it?
No.
We've said it on Native Trail beating an Eclipse. We've had Caribus that should not have won the St James's. LaSalle, it's just not. Just the Perfect Powers come out and won but that was over shorter. He's just not the race that probably everyone thought it might be, after when they crossed the line. Definitely looking more disappointing now. Okay, we'll move on. Lots happening in the world this week. Obviously, Bozo kicked out of his job for being useless. No surprises there. And obviously that's caused much consternation as who's going to take over from Bozo. And you two, in particular, have thrown your hats into the ring yonks ago. Woody with Penny Mordaunt. What price did you make Penny Mordaunt at, Woody?
A bill of 14s and a bill of 16s. And I keep bumping into people who've backed her at 50s and 66s. So
Yes. Well, I'm going to report you for insider trading. And John, what price have you got for Tom Tuggan that?
Small 33 and considerably larger 25.
Yeah, another disgrace, really. So you're both on at big odds for your two candidates. How are you feeling? What's your feeling at the current prices for the next leader of the lunatic party?
Go ahead, Woody.
Not sure I could quit a lunatic party. The Conservative and Union Party, yes. Rishi is way too short. I mean, he keeps going down to about 6-4, 13-8. He went back out to 2-1 earlier, and is now back into 13-8. And I can't see what has happened there. It's almost as if there's someone who's not necessarily got a financial motivation who wants to just keep backing it in to make it look like he's a favourite. I mean, he has got the most MP backers, but he's getting slaughtered in the press for not having working class friends and various other issues. So it just looks very, very short, a bit of a false favourite to me.
And let's be fair here. This is a chancellor that is not really of Tory values, as in high tax, big spend, massive money printing, something which has got us potentially in this situation where we are now. So why do we want a chancellor that's all for all that, Woody?
Well, I've had it put to me that he's actually a social democrat. I mean, I have met him, and I found him very personable and very pleasant. He spoke very well, but his main problem, I think, is going to be that he's being depicted as a bit of a snake, particularly by the Boris enthusiasts who will look at that very slick campaign video which came out within 24 hours. The fact that it was all registered a few months ago, and that he was one of the ones who delivered the hammer blow to Boris that forced him out. And the fact is, if it does get to the membership, there's a lot of very loyal Boris backers amongst the membership who clearly think he should still be there. But I'd be surprised if they're going to support the man who they might consider got their man out.
No, fair.
The one that delivers the blow never gets the hat.
Very true.
Heseltine, for example.
Yeah. And with Heseltine, that was only decided by the MPs. It didn't even go to the membership. I mean, what Heseltine would have got in the membership in 1990 would probably have been in single percentage figures.
Absolutely.
So the bet it is at the moment on the exchange at the time of recording, 274 Richie Sunak, Penny Mordaunt 4.6, Liz Truss, who Lang wants to bang, 6, and Tom Tuggan that at 18, and it's sort of like getting a lot bigger the rest. I don't like any candidates, to be honest.
It's like an all-age maiden, unfortunately.
This is it's like one of them all-age maidens at Leopardstown that they run at like the last race of the night, and it's an amateur riders race just for John Hines. This, and they back one from 6s into 3s, and it gets an easy lead. It looks as bent as that as well. But I despair at the lack of quality in politics at the moment, and on both sides. This is not a Tory bashing session. It literally is. If you look at the quality in politics,
don't get me started on the shite heads on the other side.
Yeah, it's very concerning for all concerned that the future of our existence is in the hands of some of these. But anyway, so we've gone through the betting. So, well, I wish you both well with your selections. Mordaunt,
I think a strategy might be going forward as these various leadership candidates sort of fall by the wayside is working out who they're likely to back.
Yeah.
And then trading off that. So when Rishi sort of goes out a bit, I mean, I would think it's inevitable that Sajid Javid will be backing him at some point. So when Sajid Javid looks like he's going to fall over, but back Rishi,
Yeah.
The momentum will then go back to Rishi and he'll contract a bit. I think that offers a bit of trading value.
I always say the London types, the stock trader types, they're useless when they come into betting. When Ben Wallace was first mentioned, he was punted into 3.8 on Betfair. And we had another instance of that this morning. Jeremy Hunt was doing the rounds on all the news programmes, Esther McVeigh backing him, all this, that and the other. He was into as short as 11 on Betfair, now 25s. You know,
he chopped his own cock off the minute he mentioned McVeigh, didn't he?
He did, really, yeah.
It looks a bit forced, that does. It's very reminiscent of John Redwood and Ken Clark coming together, which would have been an interesting combination.
Yeah.
Well, as I say, you look on the World Economic Forum, it's Sunak, Mordaunt, Truss are all World Economic Forum. So is Jeremy Hunt.
Does Truss actually contribute to that, or does she just sit there wondering why milk doesn't go off inside cows?
That's best question ever, that.
I'll let her believe she's a very talented and capable lady.
Would you never mind about that? Right, have you got an answer to that? Why doesn't milk go off in cows? Like when you've got to get it home and get it in your fridge. Right, you know, if you leave milk out today, look at temperatures today. Cows are in fields today, right? It's not going off in them though. Why isn't it going off in them? But if you put a pint of milk in that field, where cows are, sit next to them, I guarantee you, milk goes off.
Perhaps their insides are made up of the same stuff you get that makes up cool bags.
Right, listeners.
Lucky I don't want to be an MP. That's the sort of thing which should be played out as I am.
No, I'll put that. If you do, I'll put it on your campaign wall. That very thing. But yeah, I mean, listen. Listeners, listen. That's a serious question. To explain to the barsters why this is not the case.
And to Liz Truss.
And to Liz Truss, yeah. Right, we'll move on.
I'd quite like to meet Liz, actually, would you, if you could pick something up?
Yeah. He's very into pig sperm.
Well, I think we could make music.
Oh, good God. Move on.
I may have to explain the pig sperm comment, but I'll do that I'll do that on Twitter.
Yeah, don't get yourself in any more trouble. The gambling, of course, a bit of luck here for us gamblers. Well, is it luck there? You know, we'd have rather just got this gambling review out of the way, wouldn't we? I mean, you know, it's we want to know what we're facing and what's in it and what pitfalls are going to be. Greg Campbell's been on, and he actually took bookmakers to court over some money that was held in his account, a large sum of money as well, I believe. I don't want to quote him on that because I don't want to start, getting him into trouble or anything. But he did say that he checked this out, apparently, that gambling companies are only able to retain funds if they have evidence if a crime has been committed, right? So if they believe a crime has been committed, they must report it, basically, that it's a crime. It becomes a criminal police matter, right? And we're getting, obviously, punters, and this is the Matt Chapman thing. He's going to do a show with Boise about this sort of practice, which I'm really pleased. Well done, Matt Chapman. Brilliant. I like it. I hope you'd live to your promise and do a full hour show on this. And hold to account what they're actually doing, Woody. This is the part of the gambling review that I think is a little bit ignored. It's all one-sided. It's about protecting people that suffer from gambling harm, which I agree. There needs to be measures brought. I've had people on the show. This isn't a biased pod where we just ignore everyone's concerns. We take all concerns on board. And what's not being taken on board is just the general punter that are just getting ripped off right, left and centre by these ridiculous checks when it comes to withdraw your money after backing a winner, and they don't like you and they obviously don't want your business, and then they require all sorts to be able to withdraw that money, which is against gambling commission guidelines, because you're not supposed to ask it for withdrawals. You're supposed to do it for deposits after you've deposited or before a deposit. And secondly, like Greg Campbell rightly says, they only have the right to retain funds if they believe a crime has been committed. So this then becomes they should be contacting the police for all these people's money that they're holding.
It's very true. I mean, to give a shout out to another one of John's heroes, Philip Davis, I mean, he did point out to the ex-gambling minister, who must be sort of a very, very unlucky punter, because he resigned 20 minutes before Boris resigned, and then he didn't get his job back. So unlucky, but we won't shed too many tears for Mr. Philp. No. But he basically said, you've got the bookmakers and the corporates on one hand who are doing their lobbying. You've got the anti-gambling charities, what have you, doing their lobbying. And no one throughout this whole process seems to be speaking for the punter, aside from, the template letters that I believe they got thousands of them in. But, they unfortunately, with lobbying, they tend to listen more to the professional lobbyists who make a noise on Twitter. That's been one of the flaws in the in the whole process, I think. And perhaps if that had been examined a bit, those letters been examined a bit more, and we'd have had some people who were lobbying on behalf of punters. I know there's the horse racing betting forum who are doing a good job, but they're not really resourced enough to fight. Well, certainly not as resourced as the other two sectors. This may have been picked up on, but as it is, it's only people like you who are making the noise, who've managed to get on the TV that they're actually getting this recognised. And it's going to be interesting to see how it progresses, because if the companies have been acting unlawfully, and if the Gambling Commission have been issuing the wrong guidance or unlawful guidance, well, that you would think could lay down the conditions for some sort of legal challenge.
Yes, where there's blame, there's a claim. Ambulance chasers, you've chased Mercedes-Benz diesel claims, Volkswagen diesel claims for years. This is your chance.
There is no shortage of ambulance chasing lawyers who are unemployed at the moment.
Step up to the parapet. What I'd recommend to any of our listeners, if you've ever been, I sound like one of them adverts now, if you've been affected, if you ever have been asked for data and have produced data that you didn't want to do, and you felt that this was wrong, but you did it just because you wanted a bet, like a lot of people, make sure you save the emails, save the correspondence, save everything you can in your email box, because I've got a feeling, and a strong feeling at that this is all going to come out, and there's going to be some sizable payouts through this, because this is, to me, I don't think it's lawful in one iota. Greg Campbell sums it up there, like in what he said, that basically, if the bookmakers feel a crime has been committed, they have to get in touch with the authorities. They aren't getting in touch with the authorities. They're just withholding the money and not sending the money back. So that to me is, it's not a crime being committed. So therefore, they're acting unlawfully. So again, save all your correspondence, save all everything you've got, all the chat room. Make sure you do it. And if you haven't got it, do it again. If they're still withholding your money, chat with them again and make sure you save that, because you might need that evidence when it comes to where there's blame, there's a claim. And you might thank us for that, because listen, I've got a strong feeling that this is going to be the case, because the bookmakers haven't a clue. Entain, Flutter, all made up of corporate types, don't know what they're doing. They're from other industries. The Gambling Commission are all made up from farmers, chemists, anything but horse racing people involved. They don't know what they're doing. And literally, if this does not become legislation by the government or law, then they have breached data rights. I am absolutely positive about that. But we just need lawyers to confirm this and make sure that these naughty bookmaker types have committed these offences. John, have you ever had any trouble with the gambling police?
Up to press, all I've had is a couple of emails from Betfair. Just saying, we've noticed a change in your betting patterns, and do you need to talk to someone? And usually I just email back and say, probably a psychiatrist.
You know what that reminds me of? It's the Shawshank Redemption thing, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, right, so like, when Red his first appeal for parole,
Yeah,
and he says, "Yes, I believe I'm a really changed man. I've learned a lot from my time in here, and yes, I believe I can. I'm a good person now." Rejected, and then his second one, he actually says to him, "Do you know what? Well, just cut long story short, get fucked," and then. Accepted, I mean, it's like it feels like that. It feels like you could say to a gambling company, "What, there's no problem," and then they'll still stop you. But if you just turn around and say,
I found it interesting that they say that they withhold money if they feel a crime is committed. I mean, surely, that should read for a start a financial crime. I mean, otherwise. Otherwise you get into all sorts of territory, aren't you? I mean, you could say, well, we're keeping his money because we think he's guilty of crimes against humanity.
Yeah.
What's that all about,
I think that's it. And credit to Chapman and Boise, because we do need this out in the open. We really do. It's something that I've been passionate about for a long time. And by the way, this is not anti-gambling harm. The measures are needed, but the gambling harm people, to be honest, have annoyed me of late because they've played the violin on the suicides, and it's like the oven with COVID scenario where they go, well, did he die of a gambling addiction, or did he die with a gambling? It's very difficult to attribute a gambling suicide in certain instances, but that doesn't mean I'm not sympathetic. Far from it, because I've talked to people from that side. I've talked to people that have lost the wife, the family, the businesses. I've talked to them privately to learn more, and more needs to be done, which is why we came up with the SCW, which was a single customer wallet idea, rather than the dirty bookmakers that have got the single customer view and all the data's in their hands. We don't want that. No one wants that except the bookmakers. That's why they aren't screaming. And this is it. This is why it needs bringing out in the open, talking about it on television channels. And I hope journalists take this seriously, because it's their futures as well. Because if people aren't betting, it's going to go down the ground route. It's going to go down a dark path that no one wants, other than the big corp that are just ripping people off and taking money off them willy-nilly on slot machines, etc., etc. That we all know that horse racing is a lost leader for the slots. And that's how they play it online. They want to entice people into betting online and hopefully steer them into the slots. That's been the marketing ploy since online was invented. So there we go. 200th show and breathe. Anything else, chaps, to add? We've no Jimmy Lindley this. Well, I have no Jimmy Lindley this week. John, have you anything?
I have, yes.
Yes, right. Go.
And it's a big one.
Go. Oh, we love this. Love this.
The first race at Ascot yesterday, there was some very, very nice 2-year-olds in it, I thought. And I sent 3 of them over to you.
You did?
One I didn't send over.
Oh, you like that, are you?
One I didn't send over was one.
Which winner?
I sent the winner.
You did?
Was one I thought would be last, actually. And he wasn't last, he was 5th. And that's 2 past 8 of Alan King's. And physically, this was probably the most impressive of the lot. But he was fatter than Bernard Manning. Honestly, he was huffing and puffing, but walking around at the start. And I actually thought to myself, fucking hell, look at the state of him. And I mean, he's a grand type, you know. Hazy Dancer by Oasis Dream. He's a terrific roadmaster, puts wonderful fronts on our horses. And this one's by Sir Percy, so he's got a bit of length to him as well. And he still managed to look fat, which was unbelievable. And Liam Canary was up, so everything said float up. SP of 80 to 1. Yeah,
Bin Man's brother, Canary, yeah.
This exceeded all expectations, running 5th there. I give him 63 for the effort. This can find £30. I'm absolutely sure of that. Now, not being privy to any inside information from Alan King, I don't know what the plan is or anything else. I mean, he might get three quickens into him.
3-year-old handicaps usually with King.
Yeah. But,
don't die on me.
No, he's a lovely horse.
Yeah, I mean, Kings usually want 3 runs for a mark, so.
You can say this taking 3 runs to get fit.
Yeah, but it's a longer. Should we call it a longer term sort of like? Because coming on to our final question, it's from Golf Club, and he says, "Why am I an unlucky see you next Tuesday?"
Because he jumped SHIP.
Ship jumper, yeah, no time for ship jumpers here. It's just terrible. Lambasting our performance as tipsters. Check the Bar Steward site and see the profits. It's all there. There's no made up rubbish. It's Fantasy Island prices, but if you're beating 20% of Fantasy Island prices, it means you're not idiots. And we've Richmond to thank for that. So well played, Andy Richmond, for going out as shit this year, and obviously you, John, bouncing back with a lovely winner on Saturday.
Yeah, and overall Richmond, don't I? Really.
You do, yeah. It's going to be a big task for us. He's on fire this year, is Richmond. But anyway, so John's come with a fantastic Jimmy Lindley there long term. I bet, and I've no doubt he'll back it next time because he'll have to. He'll have to have a score.
Depends how long he leaves it. I mean, if he runs it in a fortnight, I won't, because it's impossible to. Yeah, but like say, if it popped up again in a month, I'd be hello, because I seriously think it might be pattern class. She's thrown one already with 100 knob racing post rating, so it wouldn't be the biggest shock if it was one of his better horses.
Good stuff, that, John. And don't forget, this is John that spotted Sissoko. John's confident, I really like it. So 2:08, the Jimmy Lindley for John. So we'll leave it on that. Thank you very much to Councillor Woodman, John Lang. We're back on Friday.
Can I just congratulate both of you on reaching, and all your other contributors for reaching 200 shows.
Yeah, I mean, amazing.
It's amazing, and there's so much. I mean, speaking to more and more people who are listening, and they find your presentation very professional. John's one-liners are absolutely brilliant. I mean, the amount of times that I'm just on my morning walks and people are looking at me strangely as I just burst into laughter. It's, at John ranting at someone. I mean, you're doing it all for free. You're making a difference in the industry. I don't think there's any more smoke I can blow up your arse, but I think it's been it's been a brilliant product, and here's to the next 2, 4, 6, 800 shows.
Absolutely, yeah, and I mean, I've no doubt it's like Denise finger blasted and things like that at like 7:30 in the morning that gets you going, wouldn't it? On that frosty morning midwinter walk, and John mentions Denise in suspenders and finger blasted and things like that. Yeah, I mean, so it's all good. I'm sure that people appreciate the show. Some won't, some will hate us, but that's it. Hooker. Yeah, she did hook them back hook them. That's all from us. We're back on Friday with it's myself, John. This is the plan lineup. Nev Ender's back. The jumps are back. Cartmel and Market Raisin next Saturday. So we've got John Mearns there. So we've got Nev Ender and Adam Norman comes back on Friday together with me and John. So so Adam might not have recovered from his stonk on from Royal Acclaim.
Royal Acclaim, we won't see him.
Right, that's all from us. Bye for now.
Right, the show's over, boys. Thank you very much.